Then.
Hello, everybody. So wonderful to see you here because I've already heard the snow stories. And we've had
Yeah,
some crazy ones here too. And so I'm delighted that everyone is here. And I apologize if you've all sat around and chatted for half an hour and didn't have any other good things to say about the world. But I'm a big believer that we have lots of good things. So and so wonderful, Igor. Our pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much.
nice to
Paula
meet you,
and
Peter.
Salo, it's wonderful to have you here as well. And I see lots of wonderful people who will acknowledge in the thing. So we're going to start in about 1 minute, I guess. Is that correct? Wonderful. And, Khalil and Dimas behind the scenes, thank you so much. I really am grateful for everything that you are doing. Khalil, just one thing too. I'm going to get you to thank the sponsors. All right. Do you have that list handy that you could do? Yeah, lovely. Okay. So, all right, here we go. And I see Patricia Garcia is here, Marcelo Sarkis is here, Andrea. I love that. Arno Mello, wonderful. Okay, so we are about to start, everyone. We have 33 registrants and or 33 participants so far. We're looking forward to more because over 100 came on. There's Patricia, wonderful. Okay, everybody. We are doing a webinar today about the opportunities that are available in light of the trade confusion that's happening in the world. And this will not be a session of us all saying, oh, the big bad other country is terrible. This is not about that. This is a conversation about opportunities between Canada and Brazil, both for Brazilians looking for things they could potentially sell to Canada, and of course, Canadians looking for things they could source or sell to Brazil. We are part of the Brazil Canada Chamber of Commerce. I'm Peter Hawkins. I'm their co-chair of the board. And the Brazil Canada Chamber of Commerce has been around for 50 years, more than 50 years actually, always connecting business between Canada and Brazil and participating with many other organizations. And several of those organizations will be participating now. And I want to always remind you that we are looking for new members all the time. So that'll be my fast pitch. It'll be events like this that you can participate in and that we'd love to have you. The next thing I would like to do is do a land acknowledgement. And it's funny because we're virtual and everyone is always saying, well, why bother doing one virtually? But the fact is, we have to recognize wherever we are, there was somebody there before us. So our land acknowledgement is quite a simple one. I'm in Mississauga, so that's the one I'm doing. And I would like to acknowledge that this land where I am is part of the treaty lands and territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit, the territory of the Anishinaabeg, Huron-Wendat, and Haudenosaunee, and Ojibwe and Chippewa peoples, home to the Métis and most recently the territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. And we are grateful, as always, to have the opportunity to work and live on this land. We also have a DEI mantra, and with a lot of the cancellations of diversity, equity, inclusion, now we are more important than ever that we stress those voices. So our BCCC mantra came from Dr. Laura Method and our DEI committee. Together, we stand as leaders embracing diversity, equity, and inclusion. We recognize that DEI is not just the right thing to do, but essential for our organization's success. We lead the charge, understanding that diversity and inclusion practices must permeate all aspects of our business. It is not a standalone initiative, nor confined to HR policies alone. By weaving DEI into the fabric of our organization, we cultivate an environment where every individual thrives, innovation flourishes, and collective potential is realized. With unwavering commitment, we engage with our employees to foster real and sustainable change. Let us forge ahead, united in our mission to create a diverse and inclusive future that transcends boundaries, and elevates us all. And then Khalil, please, I would like to thank our sponsors because without them, we would not be here. So Khalil, could you let us know who all our sponsors are, please?
1 second. I'm gonna share the screen here.
Thank you.
So we would like to acknowledge and share that it's fundamental for our sponsors, Vale, Rio Tinto as Platinum, Melrock Logistics, Gold Sponsors, and Brookfield and BMA Advogados. They are essential to the BCC success in all of our initiatives and for their support. Thank you so much.
And those are our annual sponsors, and we're very grateful. And of course, we're actually starting a new year, and we'll be changing that momentarily. So we're looking forward to seeing who else would like to join us. I want to introduce Salo Rappaport, who is our co-chair of the Trade and Investment Committee, and Paula Sad. Paula is a long-term co-chair, former past president, and she is the CEO and head of Mandala Group. Salo is from Sescomberrieux and is based out of BC, and he has not been with the organization very long, and he's driving us crazy with all his ideas. So I will tell you that we're getting tons of emails. In addition to that, we have a special guest too with Igor from Apex, and so we're looking forward to hearing what he has to say. And the last thing I just want to say is if you have something you want to share, so your value proposition, put it in the chat. We are going to generate a directory that we will share with all registrants. So if you have something that you can, your contact information and your value proposition, Khalil has already started that with many companies already. Please be sure and put it in. And I'm just going to do a couple of buzz things for the people I can see too. We have Marcelo Sarkis, former past president, co-chair of the ISD committee. We have Patricia Garcia, who is chair of our co-chair of our Alberta chapter, and who is instrumental in building that chapter into something quite impressive. She is also the Western director for the CCBC. Stéphane Leroux will be joining us. I don't see him on here, but I just got off the phone with him, so he'll be joining us. Arnaud Mello from Mello Hawk Logistics, Richard Freund from Conquer, who is a wonderful participant in almost every committee, and Andrea Gardella, who has just been fantastic too with her contributions and going to trade missions and all that stuff. I'm going to move it over to Saulo and to Paula to make some comments. One last thing, everybody who is talking, other than the people who've been told otherwise, is you have a minute. You have a minute to tell us what your question is, what your proposition is, and back now over to Saulo and Paula.
Go
Yes.
ahead.
Saulo,
No, no.
wasting time.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, so I'll jump in very quickly. So it's really a pleasure being here. Not for a long time, but actually in this let's say fast-paced beginning, I think what we have in front of us, it's a tremendous opportunity, and I'm with Peter that we should look at really what windows or new path opens for both Canada and Brazil. So we are here to facilitate and to speed up all different paths that we could go in terms of trade. Of course, there are some very, let's say, traditional opportunities in terms of industries that we should be looking at as always, such as agriculture, technology, science as a whole, mining, aerospace. So I think we have this, let's say, always or long life opportunities. But of course, in the short term, there's going to be some things that will be actually demanded both from Canada and from Brazil, depending on what is going to happen in the coming days. So we are here keen to listen to everybody. So please share your expectations, what you are maybe looking for from both Canada and Brazil, and try to take the most out of it. And as Peter said, I'm really also representing Sescom Barrier, which is it's a leading law firm from Brazil, and we are really in touch with Canada. And I think I have maybe one of our partners here who will also be able to give some hand during this call. Thank you very much. And Paula, please.
Thank you, Salu. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for spending your lunchtime with us today. I think the key message here is the need of Canada to diversify. A lot of our trade is done in the U.S., and as close partners, that might or might not change. In any case, the need to diversify, it's clear for everyone here. And what that means is opportunities for other countries to export to Canada, opportunities for Canadians to have sort of more options, even if you don't go with that option, exploring more options. And for that, we brought here today Igor. He's the head of market intelligence for Apex Brazil. And I would love to thank as well Gustavo Loreto, which is the interim CEO of Apex North America in Miami, for making that connection for us and for us to understand more about the market. So Igor, why don't you give just a quick intro about yourself and give us all the wonderful information that we did touch upon yesterday in our meeting.
Very good. Thank you very much, Paola, Peter, and all the colleagues from the Brazil-Canada Chamber of Commerce. I would also like to greet all the businessmen and businesswomen present here in the webinar. My idea here is to briefly talk about three main points. The first of all, I'm representing the Brazilian Trade and Investment Promotion Agency, Apex Brazil, as Paola said. So we are the official agency for export promotion and foreign direct investments in Brazil. In 2024, we supported more than 20,000 Brazilian companies and more than 300 foreign investors that are interested in the Brazilian economy, with more than 1,000 events around the world promoting Brazilian products and services. And we support about 5,000 Brazilian exporters every year. They represent about 42% of every product exported to the world. It's about 42% of the Brazilian exported value to the world, about $150 billion. So our idea here is to foster trade promotion and foster foreign direct investments. Just a question, Paola, can I go deeper in my subject right now? It's just a quick intro. Can I go deeper in the main topics?
Deeper is good.
Great. Thank you very much, Peter. So second thing I would like to emphasize the importance of the Canada and Brazil relations. We are the two of the three largest economies in the Americas. And I think the trade tensions that are arising right now, they open opportunity for diversification. I loved when Paola said that, because I think that's very important for Brazil and for Canada. If we see, for example, Brazilian exports to the world, about 50% of that are concentrated in China, U.S., and Argentina. So we think that trying to diversify trading partners is very important, and it's key for our development. So Brazil and Canada, we have a trade flow of about $9 billion. So Canada is the ninth largest destination for Brazilian exports, totaling $6 billion, and a very important source of imports as well. Brazil exports a lot of mineral products for Canada, mostly gold, alumina, sugar, aircraft, and iron or steel products, and very concentrated in the five products, about 77% of Brazil's sales to Canada. Conversely, we have a lot of products being brought to the Brazilian economy from Canada, especially fertilizer. Fertilizer is very important for the Brazilian agribusiness sector. We buy 50% of every import from Canada is concentrated in this sector. We have also machinery, aircraft, chemicals, and other pharmaceutical products. So Canada is a priority market for a lot of sectors from Apex Brazil. For example, just to give you some insights, we have the rice industry focusing on Canada, the chocolate and peanuts industry as well, fishery products, animal protein, wines, furniture, venture capital, airspace, personal care, perfumes and cosmetics sector as well, games, software. So it's a lot of different sectors in our economy that are focusing and have the object to foster relations with Canadian importers and Canadian exporters as well. Canada is also very important for us in terms of direct investment in our economy. Canada is the 12th largest investor in Brazil. According to the Central Bank of Brazil, we have more than 370 Canadian companies operating in our economy. And we have a lot of opportunities in greenfield investments, brownfield investments in different sectors as well. So, Peter and colleagues, in the light of the ongoing trade tensions between the United States and different countries, and of course, one of these countries is Canada, and we developed a methodology to try to identify which Brazilian sectors could benefit from the 25% tariff imposed on more than 1,000 Canadian tariff lines of U.S. origin. The idea is to try to understand what are the main sectors that we could actually foster in the short term if any trade tension arises right now. So in the universe of more than 1,000 products that Canada can impose a tariff on the U.S. products, we saw more than 500 distinct products with opportunities. From these 500 products, we developed a trade methodology to understand where are the products where Canada imports more than $10 million. It's about 378 products. And from these ones, where Brazil exports to Canada. And we found out, we identified 43 sectors that export more than $1 billion to Canada. Why we did that? Just to understand sectors that are already trading and already selling to Canada in order to avoid, because sometimes there are products that are not entering the Canadian markets because of regulatory challenges or trade barriers. So we found out about 43 products that already export to Canada in a minimum level, $1 million. And within these 43 products, we identified which products the U.S. holds a market share greater than 10%. When we found out 33 products that Brazil is very competitive in, the U.S. is very competitive in Canada as well. And we narrowed down the methodology in order to see where Brazil has a very good market position and could be fostering trade and export promotion. We found out, for example, for the short term, 10 products that could be opening more than $200 million opportunities for Brazilian exports to Canada. For example, wood and articles of wood. We also have, for example, cosmetics, orange juice, chicken meat, groundnuts and peanuts, natural honey as well for the short term. And we developed the same methodology for the medium term as well, to see which sectors could benefit if we foster our relationship and develop the opportunities in the medium term, about 2 or 3 years from now. We found out, for example, rubber, tires, coffee. The coffee sector is very important as well, especially instant coffee, sugar confectionery, preparations for animal feeding, especially pet food, also chemicals and different kinds of inputs from the agribusiness sector. So we see a lot of opportunities coming from the diversification of markets, and we are here to help the Brazilian companies to seize that. And also, Peter and colleagues, try to bring Canadian products to Brazil as well. We can do similar analysis the other way around to see which sectors we can foster in terms of imports as well. But we see that as a win-win game. We can try to improve our relationship, and we already identified the sector. So the time now is to put the job and in order to foster our relationship. So we are available to do that. Very animated as well.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. What's so great about this too is that you have already identified those sectors, and we will actually share those as well. But I actually, what I want to do is I want to give everybody a very important chance. But Stefan and Ronaldo, I don't see Ronaldo. Is he on the panel? Okay, Stefan, can you do me a very quick the CCBC, our sister chamber in Brazil, often brings some great companies up to the CL. And then they, on the last time that I was there with them, they had 5 orange juice companies. And I said to myself, 5 orange juice companies, why? Well, now I know why. We need to have them. So, Stefan, can you comment a little bit on what's actually there? Ronaldo's on as an attendee. Khalil, can you figure out how to raise him up too? He's not. Okay. Ronaldo's not going to speak. All right. So it's just you, Stefan. Stefan, you're on mute. And the next one after this is Marcelo Sarkis and then Patricia Garcia. Okay, so Stefan? Stefan, you're killing me. Okay, while you're trying to figure that out, I'm going to go over to Marcelo Sarkis.
Okay,
Oh,
I'm
no,
on now.
Stefan, go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, so Ronaldo has asked me to speak a little bit on his behalf. So just to, I really appreciate what Igor has just spoken to, and I think I'm going to revert it a little bit in terms of the potential for Canadian businesses in Brazil, and this is where the CCBC in Sao Paulo can be of assistance. We have a relatively large presence in Sao Paulo, where we have analysts that can do some work for Canadian businesses who are interested about the market in Brazil. We have chapters in offices throughout Brazil in various regions. We just opened one we're just going to open one in Ribeirão Preto, which is excellent news in terms of the agricultural sector. So we also have what we call the Brazil hub, the Canada hub. It's basically a service that we can provide to Canadian businesses who are interested in entering the Brazilian market by offering kind of a concierge services, giving them some guidance, giving them names of lawyers, accountants, etc. Because the Brazilian market can be a little bit intimidating. So the CCBC is there to help. The other thing I should add, and I'm gonna put my old foreign services hat also, is that we have a terrific team of trade commissioner in Sao Paulo and also in other places in Brazil. We work very closely with them, the CCBC, and also at the consulate in Sao Paulo we have the EDC, which is kind of a little bit of a Canadian apex. And we have this, and again, the CCBC works very closely with them also. So we have a very strong team on the ground for Canadian businesses who are interested about the Brazilian market. And you know, later on, if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. But I know that Peter just gave me 1 minute. Thanks, Peter.
Thank you so much, Stefan. I'm going to move over to now Marcelo Sarkis, then Patricia Garcia, and then Andrea Gardella.
Thank you, Peter. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Marcelo Sarkis. I'm going to focus on the intellectual property side of things. I think there's a opportunity here for both Brazil and Canada to strengthen their ties on IP, particularly if they're looking to enter into either market. What we do have as of February 1st, 2024, I know several of us here on the chamber were strong proponents of this. Both Brazil and Canada have entered into an agreement where the patent applications in each country can be accelerated in examination if there's a positive opinion from any jurisdiction showing patentability. So this will facilitate the grant of the patent much quicker, as opposed to, you know, waiting 5, 6, 7, 10 years for your patent to grant. So I think that's very important that that information be disseminated to all Brazilian companies as well as Canadian companies looking to do business bilaterally. The other point is, as co-chair of the Innovation, Science, and Tech Committee of the BCCC, I think it's important that we now strengthen our ties through IST, the Brazil-Canada Cooperation Committee for the Cooperation of Innovation, Science, and Technology. That committee, I think, really needs to now step up and start talking more and doing more in light of the recent trade issues. And let's not forget our education sector as well. We had great programs with Ciências Sem Fronteiras, Idiomas Sem Fronteiras. We can still, there's a lot of remnants in both countries with respect to the success of those programs that I think we can capitalize and again strengthen the ties between the two countries in terms of education, because from education comes products which goes into commercialization. Thank you. I think I was 1 minute and 10 seconds.
Yes, because everybody knows 1 minute, 1 minute, and I'll cut you off. We have Patricia Garcia de Hoza, and you folks probably have no idea what a great connector she is. So, Patricia, I'm really looking forward to hearing your thoughts on what we can do.
Thank you, Peter. I'm not supposed to speak, but I mean,
I'm calling on everybody.
I'm a co-chair of BCCC in Alberta, and also a Western Canada director of CCBC. And I think it is a great opportunity for both chambers to work together with Apex and also into global affairs and find what the synergies you can put together. Because Brazil wants to export, Canada also wants to export, but both countries needed to import. So you can work together and build something big in this moment, because from Alberta point of the view, Alberta export 97% of their products to United States. So most of this, probably 55%, it's gas and oil. But I mean, we have much more to do together. So I think these events like that, it's very important. Maybe you can do something bigger with the CCBC Brazil and put the Brazilian companies and also the Canadian companies together and talk more and find what the synergy we have to work together. For me, it's just that, Peter. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Really valuable. And over to Andrea Gardella, and then Arno, and then Richard. Andrea?
Thank you. So hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me, and I'm looking forward to seeing some interesting questions coming out of the audience. Quickly, I connect information to opportunities and help you make strategic decisions from a risk-based perspective. One thing that's interesting and very much echoing the conversation so far is diversification is probably one of the best ways to risk manage against the uncertainty and complexity of today's world. Whether it was during the pandemic, the financial crisis, diversification is key to transitioning out of a crisis. And so what does that actually mean in practice? This is a topic that I've heard talked about since I started my career. The very first publication I worked on was called Diversifying Trade, and we're still today talking about the same topic. And so what does that actually mean? The way that I like to explain it with companies I work with is, first of all, know your product. Know your product, not just, of course, the technology itself or the service, but know its global position. Who is buying this type of product? What are they buying exactly? And why are they buying it? I would say that right now, that's probably one of the most important questions. This week so far, I've had 3 calls with companies that I've only sold to the U.S. and Canada, and now we're starting to think, okay, I really need to start thinking about some new markets. And when we start talking about what it is that they're selling and what it is that they're really working on, there are so many opportunities in South America and Brazil in particular. If you know Brazil, it's not just one country. It is a multitude of different economies, each of them offering different opportunities. One example is a company that has developed battery related technology. Little do they know that there's some states in Brazil that are very aggressively developing battery supply chains, and so why not start looking at it now in these early stages? And that's why knowing your product, where it's going, who's buying it, and what are the strategic opportunities is so important. And happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you. Before we go to Arno, I'm just going to do 2 quick things. Some categories that we should consider: steel and aluminum for construction, battery materials like nickel and lithium that Andrea just mentioned, biofuels, clean energy sector products generally, printed materials, that's an interesting one, stone, plaster, and cement, meat, fish, and seafood preparations for large scale, cereal crops, agricultural technology and machinery, that's a very good one, fertilizers, potash, and pesticide variations, Specific meat products, of course, we have to always look at JBS. Fresh fruit, Arno can actually tell you a story of fresh cut mango coming from Brazil and being in the stores momentarily. Minerals and battery materials. Also, keep in mind, Barber's Foods in New Brunswick actually brings Brazilian peanuts to replace their existing supply. So very interesting there. Arno, can you tell us how do the goods get back and forth?
Hi, everybody. Okay, let's get to the case of logistics here. First, I want to talk about Canada to Brazil. One thing that I see over and over again is Brazilian clients asking Canadian clients, can you calculate all the taxes for me to import your product into Brazil? I will tell you, Canadian clients right now, do not waste your time. Do not ask for Apex or anybody to calculate taxes for you, because a Brazilian company is the one that is importing your product. They need to know how to calculate with their customs broker. And depending where goods enter Brazil and how the company in Brazil is formed, duties and taxes will be calculated on that product. I see over and over again my Canadian clients losing business because they're wasting time calculating standard taxes that at the end of the day could be much higher than what the client in Brazil gets. Okay, work with a logistics company like us to help you, and Apex, of course, but do not stay calculating taxes in Brazil. Do the shipping calculation to your client in Brazil and say, I can put this product at the port here, wherever you want, airport, port, here's the cost of the product and the shipping. Let them do the work in Brazil because they have to do that. On the reverse, Canadian clients buying from Brazil, the same thing. The importation into Canada must be done by you. And importation into Canada changed in October 2024 to CARM, CBSA Account Revenue Management System. It's quite a complex system right now, so do not ship anything to Canada until you have an account set up in Canada with customs, because before, your goods could arrive and we can fix any problem for you. Now, if something arrives in Canada and you're not set up, it will take weeks to be set up. And I see crisis happening right now in Canada. So communication is crucial. Planning is crucial. Both countries are open for business. We do a lot of business in both countries. So yeah, just be prepared. That's all. That's my message.
Thank you so much. Richard, we're going to go to you. And after that, I'm going to go to Michael Kennedy.
Hi, everybody. I'm Richard from Conquer. We are a Brazilian-Canadian mining startup. We work with cosmic radiations to make mining more efficient and safer. And for now, what we are seeing is, as we are getting some of our raw material from the States, we are facing, and as a startup also, we're very, very fragile in some points. So we're facing some kind of challenges that I'm really happy actually to be part of this panel here, because Marcelo Sarkis, we have some intellectual property rights that we have to push through from Canada and from Brazil that I will reach out to you later. And Igor, so good to know about the Apex stuff. So we have to now kind of reposition ourselves quickly to get our raw materials from Canada. So we will reach out to Triumph and to other institutions that are in Canada to not have to go to Los Alamos or to some institutions that are in the States that right now are harder to reach. So it is a challenging situation, and I think I'm in a very fragile position, and I have to reposition myself very quickly. So I'm really, really happy to be able to tap into this network here, to be part of BCCC. As always, is a real pleasure, and I'm grateful to be here. So thank you very much, and help me, please.
And so, Richard, when he's talking about muons rays, it is a way to measure very large inert objects to see if they're moving, like dams, like slag piles in mining. And it's a great way to prevent a disaster from happening because you can see what's going on in advance, just to make sure people understand what it is. Because when you hear muons rays, everybody goes bananas.
Yeah, it's cosmic radiation that's existing and that's inoffensive, and that helps you to measure big objects in the mining industry to be sure that the tailings dams are safe. And we are now pivoting to an exploration part so that we can help exploring the greenfield and brownfield much easier, much cheaper, and much faster.
Wonderful.
So it's a new technology, and it's breakthrough, and it has to stay that way. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. I'm going to go to Michael Kennedy now, who has been wonderful in writing articles for us, and then Paula Sad. Michael?
Thank you so much, Peter. Thank you very much for the Brazil-Canada Chamber of Commerce for having me here today. Great discussion, timely discussion to just talk about trade and diversifying trade within Canada away from, of course, our neighbors south of the border, the United States. And I believe that Brazil is such a great economy, great opportunity for Canadian companies to diversify. I myself, my experience has mostly been in the financial markets. So my views today are primarily my own personal opinions. But I do have extensive experience in financial markets and also helping early stage technology companies in growing their business here in Canada, which I think is very vital right now. Is if we look at the facilitators of trade between Canada and Brazil, I think banks and the financial industries can provide a great service to companies that are exploring new markets in terms of trade finance. That can definitely reduce some of the uncertainties for companies that are doing businesses in new countries. And as well, the sector too, in terms of venture capital, in terms of early stage financing for early stage businesses. Much is the case for Canadian companies that had to go to the U.S. for financing. It's kind of up in the air to see how the venture funds and the private equity companies will approach financing early stage companies here in Canada, and I think it's a great opportunity for the venture capital communities to unite. And create other avenues of financing for projects, and of course, there's a lot of synergies I find in technology space, especially in Brazil. The growth of the fintech industry there, I think there's a lot of lessons that Canada can learn. There would be a lot of opportunities for early stage technology companies in Brazil to help the Canadian market here. So lots of synergies, lots of opportunities, and of course, when crises like this happen, long-term relationships are definitely started and developed. So as much as there's a lot of negative headlines, me being an optimist, I always look for the opportunities, and I think there are definitely some great opportunities and potential to further deepen the relationship between Brazil and Canada. So thank you so much, and I look forward to connecting with everyone else during this conference.
Thank you so much. Paula, tell us about Mandala Group.
So Mandala Group, well, we've been in the market for 25 years. Our specialty is matchmaking or, have really high level B2B meetings. We have worked with the, Canadian government, with consulate in São Paulo, the consulate here, and taking Canadian companies to Brazil, bringing Brazilian companies to Canada to open markets. We work with the Trade Commissioner Services as well, doing the matchmaking program with them. And what we do, really, the differential is you should use the Trade Commissioner Service as to enter the door. They are amazing. It's a service that you pay for through your taxes. Also, there's a program called Can Export, which will give you back about 50% of your business development efforts. And it just opened, so it's totally worth going to the Can Export. But companies like mine, we do the hand-holding. We take the company, we look at what they do, we connect them with the right people on the ground, figure out how much product is going to cost in Brazil and who are your competitors. We're really more individualized approach than bigger associations or bigger organizations can do. And that's why we worked with them as well. And we do corporate events. But it's something I love doing, Peter, and I've been in the market for 25 years. So we have a great network that we can leverage on as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Do you know what? I'm curious too, because we have some other people on here, like Connie Fusilli from the City of Toronto. I see Paulo Araujo from the Embassy in Ottawa. I have Sylvia Mills, the Province of Ontario. As I'm just scrolling through very
Franz
quick.
Brandenberger is here too.
Oh, wonderful. And yeah, Franz. Marvin Huff, who does a lot of consulting across. Lila Hallorishan, who is our chair in Ottawa. If anybody would like to say a few words too, 1 minute, of course, 1 minute, just send us a quick text. Oh, here's Igor Oliveira, who's our co-chair in Ottawa, or in Alberta, I mean, in Alberta. And also pay attention to the text here too. So I'm going to ask another question, and this is actually going to be for Salo. Salo, what kind of businesses can you support? Would you like to be supporting? Can you share that with us?
Actually, Peter, we as a law firm, we can support almost any kind of business. Like especially if you want to, regarding the Brazilian legal system. Of course, we work, I think it's the same as Paola, for more than 25 years in Brazil, and looking at transaction litigation, we are pretty much specializing in mining also as well. So even though you are a very big company or a medium-sized company, it's something that we work with all really types of companies. And we have, we rely a lot on our Canadian partnership with all the major law firms also in Canada, because in Canada they do Canadian law and we do Brazilian law. But when it look at cross-border activities in terms of investment, establishing business, commercial, more complex agreements, if you have something that any disputes involved, compliance. So we are really look for all different kinds of businesses and all the major areas as being a full service law firm.
Yep. So as long as, you know, anybody, there's the answer. I also noticed there was, I think Federico or somebody also from Sescomberio is on.
Federico, he's here.
Yes, we see Cynthia Takeda is here from Hacker Rangers. That is a cybersecurity company. It's a new member of the chamber, and they have a very interesting way of training by using gaming to train. It's been a very cool thing. I see, as I'm just trying to look at these names and see who else we should be talking to. Igor, have you seen anything that is intriguing you? Is there any of these companies that look interesting, and are there any things that you have to share with the panel?
There's a lot of opportunities from that, very advanced technologies and products and sectors. And I am talking to one company here, and I would like to stress that to you as well, to try to bring and stress the governments to foster a free trade agreement. That would be very important as well for the trade relationship. Brazil is already evaluated in some private sector organizations, such as the Confederation of National Industries, an agreement with Mexico, for example, and also Panama and other Latin American countries. So Canada would be very important for us as well, especially because we were already discussing something, but it didn't advance as fast as we expected. So that would be a very important issue to bring again in terms of fostering the relationship, Peter.
It's funny because we have been pushing that as well, and in fact, with the CCBC, we're going to be writing an advocacy letter, you know, on that topic to see if we can push it. There have been many excuses, and I think right now, normally it's our fault, but I think it's your fault right now. But we'll have to figure that.
I think it's on our table. I don't know. we need to see that.
Yeah, but although normally it's ours. I also want to draw attention. We have Benigno Rojas Moreno, who is the trade director for the Americas for the government of Alberta. He is a wonderful resource and a contact. He is on here. This will be some of the more people that we'll see in the directory. And I'm just sort of flipping through to see who else. And Arno, can you share you're in Brazil right now. What kind of businesses are you seeing are interested in Canada?
Chemicals, reagents, you know, a lot of technology that we export to Brazil. Another thing that I want to say to Canadian companies is that Brazil has a lot of states where they subsidize the importation of product, and they have bonded warehouses everywhere. Where we just partnered with a bonded warehouse in the state of Paraná and Santa Catarina, where if you ship goods and you have a partnership with a Brazilian company, goods are suspended of all taxes until you actually sell the product, and you can sell them in lots, right? And your buyer will clear them, pay the taxes, and deliver the product. Not necessarily an entire container can be cleared at once. So you have that option as well in Brazil. Also, Brazil is a very, very advanced custom system. Everything is electronic here. Whatever you heard in the past of many years, stories, right, of Brazil, that does not happen, okay? This is a very serious market. If you do things right from the beginning, your goods will be clear, tax will be paid, and it's a very clear-cut process here, just like it is all over in the majority of the world as well. But bonded warehouses here are really being used to bring, separate, and import products. So technology, Peter, it's huge from Canada. Reagents, drones, of course, we're shipping a lot from Canada to Brazil. That's what we see right now.
Fantastic. We also have Bruno Santiago, who is on, who's a digital marketer. I met him in Santa Catarina. I want to stress that Brazil is not just Rio and São Paulo. It is Porto Alegre and Florianopolis and Joinville and Ribeirão Preto, where they're opening up a new chamber there, and Serra. And it is a big country full of great opportunity. Asali Barroso is also on, and she has brain work, and she is also a key member of FCBB. And so, Asli, be sure and put your contact stuff in there too. Okay, I didn't see it right off the bat. Benito Ossi is here too, which is wonderful. It's great to have him here. Bruno has a question. How do we? Does he have to type the question, or can he ask the question? There, wonderful. Go ahead, Bruno. Bruno, you're using up your 1 minute.
Hello.
There he is. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. My question would be something like, how you guys, first of all, sorry, I'm Bruno from Imagina Digital. I'm dealing with digital marketing in Brazil and Canada. And my question for you guys and entrepreneurs related BCCC would be something like, how do you guys suggest companies from technology could manage this time in terms of marketing? Because I'm dealing with some tech companies, and I'm wondering, most of them from Canada, they are dealing with US, and also some companies from Brazil. Tech companies from Brazil are dealing with US clients. So what in terms of marketing, how do you see this movement right now? What we would do in advance to be prepared for this time?
Who wants to take that? Well, my first piece of advice is get a partner. It really is all about partnerships and making those connections, as you know. I don't think you can do standalone at all. Although it's kind of interesting, there is a major digital marketing company in Montreal. I was just there with Stefan, and it's from Argentina, and it was carrying some big brands. I was kind of amazed. Anybody else have comments on digital marketing?
Peter, I would just follow up by, suggesting just target those clients and just reach out to them. I think now is a window, now is an opportunity where people and businesses are looking for alternatives. So that would be basically number one, just find an email, reach out on LinkedIn, and just go directly to the person and say, listen, these are the products and services we offer. I think it's a great opportunity for us to have a virtual meeting, and then follow up with a trip here to Canada to meet with them in person. As I mentioned earlier, the crisis creates opportunity, and people are open to ideas right now. So if you have a really good one, I'm pretty sure you're going to find an audience that's open to listening.
Yeah,
Peter, if I can add, I would suggest engage with incubators across Canada. Many incubators will accept a client that are remote, because Canada has a startup visa program, and many clients that I deal with, they're in their home country working on their startup visa, but at the same time, we're looking to identify and secure their intellectual property. Being part of an incubator accelerator in Canada will also give you that exposure to prospective clients, because as you know, in an incubator, there's a lot of crosstalk, and a lot of connections are created and strengthened as being part of an incubator locally here in Canada. Thank you.
Thanks so much. We have Hakel Bosha, who is also our co-chair of our IST committee. Hakel, share us your thoughts. First of all, tell us what you do in your 1 minute, but also share us your thoughts. What would you do to, what products do you think you should consider? What would you do to promote business between Canada and Brazil?
Thank you, Peter. I'm so glad to hear all of you. Well, I support international entrepreneurs that want to expand their business to Canada. And I've been seeing companies now in this moment looking for collaboration, research and development, collaboration to applied research with universities here and also other companies. So I think the key point is that first you have to address and find ways to collaborate. Sometimes you don't need the immigration process, just bring your company with partnerships. And regarding my thoughts, I think not only technology and innovation that we can do it overseas and we have scalable processes and great solutions in Canada and in Brazil, and I believe we can collaborate together, but also products. One of them, for example, is fruits. We were talking here about mangoes and different fruits. Nowadays, we have technology that can increase the shelf life of the fruits because of the transportation, and I think that can help us to become a great partner to Canada. And regarding Canada Start Hub, I would say that start the process. Don't let the fear paralyze you to collaborate between Canada and Brazil, and you have experts to support you.
Excellent advice. When you were talking about that too, there was also, I saw great Brazilian tech. It was a kind of I'm going to call it a carpet, but it was a sheet you put on the shelf and you put fruit on it and it absorbs ethylene and keeps the fruit fresher longer. And that's technology out of Brazil that was just sensational and something we should seriously be considering. Folks, I also see Caio Grattoni from the Embassy of Brazil in Ottawa, and I saw Paulo Araujo actually put his contact information into from the embassy. I see Bonnie Berger, who is in Canada's diplomatic service, who's been given so much help over the years. It's been fantastic. As I'm just looking through to see Daniela Leite, who is the international director for the CCBC, and Felipe Bittencourt, also for the CCBC. As I'm looking through, if anybody else would like to share some thoughts, Marcelo Oliveira Correa has Correa Consulting. He is also doing business matchmaking. He was talking about fruit going to Brazil. Igor, do you have any comments on the difficulties of sending Canadian fruit to Brazil? I know it's not your area, but you might have a wind on it because I know New Brunswick calls me about blueberries and cranberries all the time.
Much about there are some I'm not so expert on that on the import side of business, but I would say talking to the Ministry of Agriculture is very important in order to know the certifications and needed to enter in the country. And something you mentioned before, it's very important to market to make a market research and to get a partner to know where to put the product in Brazil, because Brazil is a very big market with different regions. So Arnon mentioned about the logistics is very important as well. So, but I can research and try to give you some insights about that. If you get my contact over there, I can speak directly to the company and try to help them on that.
I will tell you, it's a very popular topic. That's one that people would like to know because, of course, we are fruit producers.
Peter,
somebody's speaking. Who is it?
Hi, Peter. It's me. It's
yes,
Arno.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just related to this question. There was a question on the chat from Luis about the cost of logistics between Brazil and Canada. I just want to a quick explanation. Of course, logistics is controlled by the major players in steamship lines moving containers around the world. And of course, if you have a route that is very popular and you have a lot of traffic on that route, you can have lower rates. So the complaint here that Luis had is that the cost of logistics from Brazil to Canada is very expensive. Well, it's expensive as it is expensive going to Brazil to China or Brazil to Europe. It is what the market is, and it is what demands, brings to that market. We have to observe, of course, if we have an agreement between Canada and Brazil or Mercosur, of course, that's going to be a very hot route, right, to be developed. And then carriers will definitely put more ships into it. So his question was, the possibility of a trade agreement would diminish the cost of freight between these two countries or regions. Possibly, but do not count on that, because cost of freight is influenced by so many things in the world right now. We had COVID, then we went to like zero, basically, cost of freight all over the world to now 8 times the price. So it changes so much. you need to work with a logistics company that's going to tell you what the market predictions are in terms of logistics between point A and point B, for you to also, when dealing with Brazil, you must present the freight cost separate from your product, because that freight cost will be used to calculate duties and taxes in Brazil. It is compounded in Brazil, unfortunately, but that's the way Brazil is. Everyone in Brazil faces the same issue. It's not only Canadians, not only Americans. Don't worry about that. Worry about your product, the cost of your product, the quality of your product, everything that we talked about here. So, and I see Andrea now, hands up. That's it.
Okay, and just before Andrea just speaks, I just Luis Ramos too has a long career bringing products back and forth with Dacalar, his company too, in with Brazil and Canada too. So you know, he certainly has great experience here. Andrea?
Yeah, just to jump on Arnaud's comment, and absolutely, you have to work with a logistics company. You know, don't take that on for yourself, especially if you're a small, medium-sized company. There's partners out there that can figure it out for you. One thing that I would also encourage, and kind of touching on something Arnaud said, is, you know your product, know where it's going, who's buying it, and that really is an advice I give every company is know your data. Know your data, know the data that you have within your company so that you can make better and more structured strategic decisions. Because with that data, you can actually optimize where your product should be going to lower those costs, to lower the travel time. There's so much you can do within your own company to figure out what is the best market for your product, that I strongly encourage that. And then when you tackle that with a logistics company, you're set for success, if I may be so bold.
I totally agree. Dimas and Khalil, can you bring up Paulo Horajo, because he is I'm going to volunteer him to answer a question about fruit. And so, you know, he's a wonderful person at the consulate, or at the embassy in Ottawa, and always very, very helpful. And also, don't forget Sylvia Mills. Like, she's on here and she's offering to she's giving her email, folks. She is instrumental in helping companies here. So don't forget her. She's a key person here. Benito, of course, is for Meta IT consulting. And my goodness, they are a huge success story too, with Benito Hazati. So Paulo, I have a question for you.
Yep.
Blueberries to Brazil.
Yes.
What's the obstacle? Is there?
I have to check, because there might be some specific requirements regarding, you know, some diseases or taxes. That's why I just put a message in a chat asking the people interested in exporting those products to Brazil to please get in touch with me so I can check the sanitary requirements and other issues that we might need to address. But I'm here to help, and we want to foster the trade between Brazil and Canada. So we want to sell more fruit to Canada and also import more fruit from Canada. So I'm here to help. I'm really glad to have this opportunity to be here with you and share some thoughts. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And I just want to stress, so here is Paulo in the embassy in Ottawa. He is not in a secret place. He's not in a castle. He is right here promoting trade between Canada and Brazil. The Canadian Trade Commissioner Service are doing the exact same things. The Brazilian team is. And of course, we have Igor from Apex too. So I want to stress to everybody that the answers are out there. Don't sit around wringing your hands and saying, oh, this is bad, this is bad. There are answers. There are answers here. We have panelists here. So please be sure and share with us. Paulo, thank you so much for that. I'm very grateful for that. Oh, Keeper Canada, there he goes. Keeper, that's the one I was talking about. Thank you, Hakel. So, you know, this really smart technology of the mats that keep fruit longer. And, you know, thanks for putting that in there. One thing I really want is I want to make sure that people are talking to people. And that's something that we are always trying to stress. We are going to wrap up now. I know this was probably shorter than people would want. We're going to hang on to these questions and make sure that you get the context and the answers. We are also going to circulate a little directory of value propositions here. And so what I do want to do is quickly go around the panel for some last words. And I'm going to finish with Paula and Salo. So I'm going to start with Hakel. Hakel, what would you do right now?
Peter, I think first step is build connections between the two countries, connect with us, with the chamber, with potential associations that can support you to overcome these first steps. I think reducing the learning curve and be agile, not to lose the opportunity, because I think now it's time to build more bridges, not walls.
Fantastic. Richard, then Stefan. Richard?
Well, yeah, just what we're doing here, just to promote a network and to put it out there, not to be afraid to look for help, actually. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you. Stefan?
Yeah, absolutely what you said, Richard said. We're living in very interesting time, and I think let's not get this crisis go to waste. I think we are at a crossroad, and we need really to explore new market. And we have the two chambers, we have the Trade Commissioner Service, we have Apex, we have EDC. There's tons of people out there to ready to help Canadian businesses and Brazilian businesses.
You know what? I can't believe I didn't mention EDC up to this point. We use EDC all the time.
Yeah.
It's a great resource for essentially subsidizing what's going on. The CAN export thing, by the way, for trade missions is just opened. We have trade missions to South Summit. We want people to come. We have the nuclear NT2E summit that's coming. We have Startup Summit, Web Summit Rio, Startup Summit in Florianopolis. We are looking for people to go. So there's some excellent opportunities there. I noticed now that Hernan Morura is here from Animet, so that's great to see him here. Now I want to go to Arno, and then Andrea, and then Marcelo.
I echo Stefan, use the services of the Trade Commissioner in Brazil, very knowledgeable for knowledge importing into Brazil. Apex, of course, great resource there. Again, don't waste your time calculating import taxes in both countries. Focus on your product. Focus on finding the client. As Apex mentioned, there's a lot of industries here. Focus on that and tell the Brazilian client, I know how Brazil works with logistics, so I'm going to put the product for you in the airport and port. You deal with the importation on it. That's it.
Andrea?
Yes. Get to know as many people as possible. But that also means get to know their problems, what it is that they're trying to solve. I think that's the only way that you're really going to know if your product is the right fit. And so, or your service. So encourage that very much.
Wonderful. Marcelo?
Look at this as an opportunity and not a crisis. Don't stick your head in the ground and say, oh, and wish everything is going to go away in 4 years. I've been with the BCCC for many years. All of the BCCC people, 200, are very approachable. Don't be afraid to send an email, to ask questions, contact us at the BCCC. We're here to help you. And don't forget, many startups, many companies forget to secure their IP, and then they want to secure their IP when it's too late, and then there's nothing that can be done. Yeah. Thank you.
I agree. And I want to, Michael, comments?
Yes, thank you, Peter. I think having these talks are very important. I think what I would like to do is propose a challenge to everyone involved that we can double trade between Canada and Brazil over the next 2 years. I think that would be exciting. I think when you take away some of these meetings is that if you are embarking on trade between Canada and Brazil, that you won't be the first, that there is a path, there is a beaten down path, and that we can actually start paving it. So that's my challenge to everyone, and I think we should start exploring this partnership, and that it's a great partnership, having traveled between Canada and Brazil many times. And to my Canadians out there, if you need a push to do business in Brazil, contact me. I will share you a lot of positive experiences that I've had in doing business in Brazil. So thank you so much to everybody for attending.
Wonderful. And just before we're going to put Igor on the spot for the last time, I just want to draw attention to, we have Marvin Huff here, who is from Mira, who has been a trade consultant for many years and has been just a wonderful contact. We have Francis Villela, who is part of a regulatory affairs company in agriculture. We're going to be sharing these names as much as possible. I want to just remind everybody to Asali Bajos from Brainworks and part of FCBB is also just a wonderful contact and a wonderful person person for developing things. Connie Fusillo from the City of Toronto, who has been just amazing contact and amazing supporter of the Chamber. And Connie pointed out that the CIAL is April 29th, May 1st. If you have a food company that you want to bring up here, this is the time. And there are lots of avenues to get that happening too, as I'm flipping through. So Igor, over to you, sir.
Thank you, Peter, for the opportunity and the BCCC for the invitation. And I would like to stress we are developing a very nice project with the Canadian Embassy in Brazil. We are about to develop a trade and investment bilateral map, which is going to give us detailed insights about trade and investment opportunities for Brazil and Canada. And I invite you, I think the publication is going to be ready in about 2 or 3 months. I invite you to see it and go in detail on that. And I would also like to invite everyone to know Apex Brazil, www.apexbrazil.com.br. You can see all the events we are promoting in Canada and the trade fairs and trade missions we are promoting for the Brazilian companies in the different sectors we mentioned, to go there and to see the Canadian markets and try to go deeper in the integration with that. We want to integrate with you. We want to foster relationships, so we are available to help all the companies. And just to finish, for the Canadian companies wanting to come to the Brazilian market, the Brazilian market has very good and detailed data. I was just touching base here with the blueberry data, for example. I know that's $10 million import from the road, and we can see the main states and the main logistics on that. So if you have someone to help you on the Portuguese, you can go very deep in terms of opportunities. Thank you very much.
Fantastic, Igor. Really valuable. Thank you so much. Paolo, you do next because you got the sun in your eyes. So give us your wrap-up comments.
Thank you, Peter. So going back, guys, just Brazilian market is, it's a hard, it could be a hard market to get in, but it's totally worth it. With over 200 million people in Brazil, it's a big market. It's worth the effort. We've taken so many Canadian companies down to Brazil, and many of them were quite successful. You have many avenues you can do it. You have the Trade Commissioner Services, you have EDC, you have Canexport program, you have the BCCC here. We can help you in English, we can help you in Portuguese. We know both countries, we understand local culture in both countries, and we can help you with that. So thank you very much. And again, a big thank you to Apex for being here and Igor for all your help. And we look forward to keep working with you, moving forward with this project. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. And she's right. Big thank you to Igor and Apex. So Salo, last words are yours, sir.
Yeah. No, I think for me, what is pretty clear at this moment, it's the word collaboration. I think and act fast. I think it was exactly what we did by gathering this, let's say, trade roundtable, whatever resources we had. But of course, Igor, thanks a lot for your participation. I think you enriched amazingly our discussion and gave us a lot of evidences where we should go. So I think we should keep on promoting this kind of meetings, and we are talking about broader collaboration also with CCBC as well. And I think the best that also we can do is put our feet on the ground. So I think we should bring really companies from and investors from Brazil to Canada and vice versa, because maybe what they had on mind in the past could be pretty different nowadays. And of course, what we've seen from the chat that we have pretty much skilled people that can partner here. And whatever you need in terms of legal support, I think we are pretty open also to have a chat and really let's be simple. Just an email or by LinkedIn, it works pretty nice. So thanks a lot, Peter.
You're very welcome. Thank you all. Thank you for your hard work. Demas and Khalil behind the scenes, thank you for the flurry of emails going back and forth and text messages and stuff. We will be sending details out to everybody who registered and with some summaries and some more information. Please, please, please stay in touch. There's handsome Khalil, and Demas is somewhere behind a logo. So anyway, thank you all the best, and we will talk soon. Take care. All the
Bye,
best.
everybody.